Hi guys, welcome back. It's Mrs. Peterson, that lady who teaches art, and today we are going to draw a room in one-point perspective. So we're going to start with a blank piece of paper and a straight edge. I'm using a ruler today. If you don't have one of those available, that will be okay. You can use anything with a straight edge like the edge of a book, but I'm going to use a ruler and I am going to measure a few things as we get going today. So we're going to start with the back wall, and that is going to be a true rectangle. So I'm going to put the back wall, the bottom of it about in the middle, because I want to have more floor than ceiling. And as I do this, I also am going to measure, it doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but I want to make sure that I can measure. I'm going to go here from 4 to 7 inches. So I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half inches as I get going. And I'm going to actually just mark those right here. I'm going to mark at the ½ inch across my line, and that will make sense in a little bit. Okay, from there I'm going to go straight up, and this doesn't matter as much. I'm not measuring, but we do want to leave some room for the ceiling. And I'm going to go straight across. Put my ruler right on the side of my paper. And then I'm going to go straight up. Here. Okay, and I didn't quite make it neat, and that's okay. Bring it back and finish that off. Okay, so we have our back wall. Then we need to put on our vanishing point. And I'm going to put my vanishing point high on the wall, but about in the middle. And then a lot of kids want to take the corner of the room and line it right up with the corner of my paper. That is not correct. I'm going to line up the corner of my room and the vanishing point to give me the ceiling. So where I put mine, I'm a little under the corner of my actual paper, and that's just fine. That doesn't matter at all. I'm lining up my vanishing point and the corner of my back wall, and that gives me the line that divides my wall from my ceiling. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Go to the vanishing point and the corner of my back wall. Do the same thing on the bottom. Corner of my back wall and the vanishing point. And then same thing down here. Corner of my back wall and the vanishing point. Okay, on our room, let's do the back wall first, because everything in the back wall is going to be square. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put a picture in the middle of this room. Just give me a long, skinny artwork back there. Just making a true rectangle on that back wall. Everything on the back wall is going to have perpendicular lines using the edge of my paper and the edge of my ruler. Okay, under that I'm going to draw a little table that's along the back wall. So I'm going to give myself a straight line. I'm going to go straight down onto the floor on both sides. Okay, now this is the important part. This table, the legs would be like the same length. If I don't line up this next line, that little line here and little line here, so going in from this, then they will look like they don't match. So we want to make sure that those two lines right there on the bottom of the table are at the same level when I draw them. Okay, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to say that the top of this is that thick. And then I'm going to draw the legs going down from that. Straight up and down. And I can finish this off. We want these two legs to be about the same thickness. So that one was pretty thick. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so there's the front of my table, and now I need to get the top of it on there. The top of it is going to be in 1-point perspective, so we're going to line up the corner of the front with that dot, and I'm going to draw back, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. The corner with that dot, and draw back. Now, a lot of you are going to say, whoa, Mrs. Peterson, this one is more slanted than this one. Yep, that's okay. And then I'm going to draw a flat line across for the back of that table. And I'm just going to erase the extra little tails. Okay, then the legs for these would be straight down from that corner. And I'm not going to draw it through the table. The same thing over here. I'm going to line up that back corner at the top of my paper and draw straight down until I get onto the floor. And then I'm just going to bring those evenly across. I'm going to put my ruler flat down. These are going to appear smaller than the front ones because they're further back, so they don't need to be as thick. And the same thing over here. Okay, then I can erase the line that goes through each of those. I want that table to look like it's three-dimensional. Okay, on the side over here, we're going to put a door. Now the door is going to have two sides that are straight up and down. So I'm getting my ruler lined up with the top of my paper again. And I'm going to go straight down. I want to think about how tall doors usually are. They're usually a little bit of space still, on the top of the room. So we're going to do that. And then I need to think about how wide the door is going to be. If I draw my line here, that door is going to look really tall and skinny. If I draw my line way over here, it's going to look really fat. So we need to think about what looks right. And usually this top is about, well, let me see. If I took the top of this, it should be like 2.5 down the side. So if I split this into what I think is like 2.5, might be about something like this. Okay. The bottom line is already there for us because that was there for the edge of our wall. And now I need to do the same thing for the top. So I'm going to take one of these lines, I'm going to line it up with my vanishing point, and I'm just going to draw across. You'll notice that this line is a lot more flat, a lot more perpendicular than this line. This is a lot more angled because it's more in line with the vanishing point. So as things, get up on the top, they're going to be really slanted. As they come down here, they're going to be flat. And as they get down here, they're going to be slanted. So there's our door. Now let's give that door a little bit of like an edge around it. Straight down. This side's going to be a little thicker than the other side because it's closer to the viewer. And then the top of that is going to go through the vanishing point. So I'm going to line up with my vanishing point and line that up carefully. There's my door with the frame, and I can give it a door handle. It's not usually quite in the middle, it's just a little below the middle usually, the little door handle. Okay, now we're going to draw a window on the other wall. And for the window, again, we are going to have the lines on this side go straight up and down, perpendicular to the paper. And then I'm going to take my vanishing point, zoom in on this a little bit on this side. Oops, wrong way. I'm going to line up with my vanishing point dot, and I'm going to take the front line that I did and go back. And I'm going to do the same thing in the bottom. I line up with my vanishing point and the bottom of that window and come back, and then I'm going to erase any tails that I have. Now, a lot of times we think if we want to find the middle, we just measure and divide in half. That's not how it works with 1-point perspective, or perspective of any kind for that matter. we're going to lightly create a cross on here, an X I mean, on here, by going from one corner of the box to the other. And wherever that crosses, that is the middle of this. So now if I take my ruler and go straight up and down, the middle of this window is actually right here. And the middle line would still go through my vanishing point. So I'm going to line up my vanishing point and the X I just made and do the middle like that. Now I can get rid of those X marks. And if I want to thicken this up, I can. Remembering that it's going to get thicker as it goes out. But this line will be really straight down. And then it'll be skinnier up here. And get a little thicker as it goes out. These two. Sometimes windows have that detail, that crossbar. Okay, the last thing that we are going to add is a chair. I'm going to put that chair a little closer to the edge. If yours needs to be right under where you just were, that's fine. Notice I'm lining up my ruler with the top of my paper. I'm going to draw straight down. And when I hit the floor, I'm going to stop. I can go a little bit onto the floor, but you don't want to go too far. Then it will look strange. Okay, from there, we're going to take the top of our chair back to our vanishing point. We're going to come down a little bit for like a back rest on that chair. Notice I'm still lined up with my vanishing point. I'm going to come down a little bit further. This will be the back of the seat. Okay. Now, this line for the backrest and the back of the seat will be really straight up and down. So I'm going to draw that on right now. And then I've got some tails to clean up. Now we're going to draw the seat. The seat is going to be perpendicular. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the corner here, and I'm going to go straight across. And then I'm going to go straight down. And if I stop here, my legs aren't quite in line yet. This needs to go a little bit longer so that those look like they're right in line with each other. Otherwise it will look askew. Just a little bit further. Good. All right, now we are going to take from this corner we just drew and back to our vanishing point to create the front of the seat. And then when I line up my ruler with the edge of my paper and the back of the seat, get my ruler right, then that will give me a nice square seat. Okay, and I'm going to draw straight down from here. And if I'm not sure how far down to go to make it look realistic, I take my ruler and I line up with that front bottom leg right there. And then this leg should come and hit my ruler. So if it didn't quite, or if you went too far, you want this to come all the way down to your ruler but not any further. The same thing is going to be true with this back leg. It's just barely going to come onto the floor. So if I take from this corner right here and I go straight down, we know those legs are straight, I'm not going to go through the seat. I'm going to go down and it should just barely hit the floor, and then that chair will look like it's done correctly. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is add flooring, and then we'll get to shading. I will see you for part 2 of this video. I can't wait to see what you create.